Alright y'all, we're going to look at building a battery cable, or it could be an alternator cable or some sort of relatively high voltage cable for your car, boat, motorcycle, things like that. There are all kind of sorts of ways that people crimp these cables on the ends. Sometimes it's a little difficult if you don't have the right tools. I had to learn this one the hard way. But what I have been using lately is a flaring tool, like what you would use to make brake lines or fuel lines on cars. You can get one of these at any auto parts store pretty much, and it usually looks like this. So I was trying to figure out a good way to crimp the connector right here. So I got to looking at a flaring tool, and to make a nice uniform crimp, you flip it around this way, and then you can use, this slot right here would be good because it's a nice centered punch on the top, and then it makes a nice press on the bottom of the connector. Looks pretty nice when you're all finished. So you put your nuts here on the top of it. And of course, if you're going to do any heat shrink on it, you should slide that on first after you've cut your cord. Cut it, about that far back or so, because it needs to stick out just a tad once you've got it crimped down. So you'll cut the shielding down so that you can slide the connector on. I'm trying to do this one-handed here. Hold on one second. Alright, so if you take your cable here and twist it about a tad and then slide on your connector. Make sure that you've already slid on your boot if you're going to have one installed, because it's easier to pull it towards the connector once you've got it built, instead of trying to monkey with it after you've already got this built. And make sure you test fit your cable on your application so that you've got it turned the way you want it. And I know I'm going to have this end is going to be against the frame, this end needs to be flat, so they're going to basically be 90 degrees opposite of each other. So this one needs to be facing flat like so. Push it down nice and firm right there, and then we will look at the flaring tool, get it positioned. There we go. Hard to do this one-handed. There we go. Zoom her in right there. So we'll lift up on the flaring tool and push it in. Make sure you're only crimping the barrel end of it, and slightly tighten it down evenly by hand first. Alright, let's put it in there, make sure it's aligned the way you want it. Push forward on the cable back here so that it's pressed up in there really nice. And then take your wrench, whatever size it is. For this particular flaring tool, it's a 1/2 inch wrench. And then just start evenly tightening. Tighten her down. And once you're done tightening it down, you'll see that it is quite strong. That crimp is not going to let that cable come loose. Loosen off your nuts here. Pull her out and see a nicely crimped cable. Rounded on the other side so it looks pretty nice. And some people debate whether to do any soldering to battery terminals. Most OEM batteries are not soldered, they're only crimped, so I'm sticking with that method. And then after you're done crimping, you can slide your heat shrink material down, hit it with the heat gun, and it'll shrink up nicely around that. Then you can pull your boot down to where you want it and go install it on your vehicle, and it looks real nice. So if you need to custom make some cables, battery or alternator or whatever, and if you've got a flaring tool like this right here, it works quite well. I've already made several cables using this method, and it's worked out really well already. And you can get one of those devices at pretty much any auto parts store, not very expensive. So you can make your own cables. Looks good.